Hi guys, welcome back to Y'all Hearing This. My name is Kay. Thank you so much for coming and checking us out over here on Patreon. I am excited. I'm starting a whole new kind of series of videos I have always wanted to do and check out, and that is to do a deeper dive into like different group lore. We're starting with Enhypen. I mean, I know very basics vampire. That's about it though. So I found a video which hopefully is going to be good. Seems like it's pretty decently recent. And then we're also going to watch a couple little trailers for like their webcomic and things like that. But yeah, I'm excited. I have really been just loving Enhypen. Like, so we just started Enhypen N o'clock on YouTube. I'm finishing up Island here on Patreon and just having a blast with them. Loving what I'm hearing of like their music, loving the members. So anyway, I'm excited. So yeah, every week we're just going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into a different group. There are some groups that have such massive lore that we'll probably do like a couple segments on. I know in particular AT is like, there's one that's only just about the treasure series and et cetera, et cetera. So, but yeah, and leave me some suggestions for what you like down below. As always, we put up our first video in a new series up for free. So if you're watching this over here, we hope you enjoy and decide to join. If not, we do have a whole collection of stuff that's free, so please go check that out. You can join for free, all that good stuff. Anyway, I'm going to shush and get into this because I am so excited. All right, guide to Enhypen's lore.
So the Enhypen universe has gotten a little bit more complicated, and since a lot of English readers don't have easy access to the web novel on Wattpad, I figured why not talk a little bit about it. After all, the recent music videos from Enhypen have almost all been story focused, and so if you're not reading the story, it might not make any sense at all. So let's just delve straight on into this.
Okay.
Hello,
Yes.
My name is Elena, and welcome to my channel. I make theories and videos covering Hype and Hype storylines, which of course includes the Dark Moon storyline that we're going to be talking about today, which of course features Enhypen. A reminder that liking and commenting on videos really helps the video reach more people. It helps me, it helps other people learn about the storyline, and so yeah, I would really appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. Also, I just want to do a quick shout out to Aubrey, who is one of my friends and a patron of this channel. She helped me with all the details in this script, including a beta reading and just correcting things that I may have gotten wrong. Also, she told me to tell you guys that if something is incorrect, it's supposedly it's her fault, so we're supposed to blame her. Anyways, let's go. So here's some basic info about the storyline and just catching you up a little bit to where we are now, because this is not the beginning of the story anymore. Our main character is a girl named Suha, and she has some very interesting powers that she's scared to tell anyone about. Namely, it's that she is extremely strong. It should be noted that in the web novel, she has an ability that seems to be exclusively there right now and hasn't been shown in the webtoon, although I'm hoping they will show it in the future. And that is literally the ability to turn into fog. Like smoke.
Interesting.
Fog, turn into fog. Like she can physically become fog instead
I remember
of a person.
seeing the girl
Anyways,
in the trailer for Dark Moon, so
about her strength, which she knows of first,
Dark Moon,
because
Dark Blood.
of another creature that exists
Blood Moon.
in this story's universe: vampires. In the past, she has been blamed for vampire attacks, or people have been scared of her and her abilities, and have chased her from towns. This has given her an intense hatred for vampires. All of that on top of the fact that a vampire attack once killed her only friend, Chris, when she was a child. Remember that, because it's very important. So she starts anew at
I feel like I should
Stardust
maybe
Academy,
take notes.
and this is the same place that the Enhypen boys are attending. They all have different character names to their usual names, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to be trying to stick to their actual members' names. So Heesung's character is named Heli, but I'm going to mostly say Heesung, just so you're not having to relearn names if you have no idea about the Dark Moon story or aren't interested in reading the webtoon. Anyways, Suha
I am
is
interested in
intended
reading
to
it.
attend this academy, this high school, basically, and live as normal a life as possible. She does secretly have a kind of goal to, you know, get rid of vampires entirely, because this has a massive library and stuff like that. But for the most part, she just wants to lay low and be a normal human. Of course, she ends up friends with the boys because this wouldn't be the main character of the story if she didn't. And as you're probably aware by now, these boys are in fact vampires. Not that they tell her that, but they do share the fact that they have powers, because they also discover hers. However, Enhypen boys, these vampire boys, are a little bit too scared of getting discovered as well. They have the same fear as Suha, essentially, except it's, like, warranted. They've also previously been chased out of town because of them being vampires and having powers, and also had their orphanage burned down by drifters, which are, like, low-power vampires, which I'll talk about more in a bit. But also, potentially, it was burned down because of something that we haven't seen yet, or hasn't been revealed yet. That's just the assumption they make. Mainly, I question
Am I
this
started like
because
this
I don't
at
think
a
the orphanage
weird
is always
spot?
so great.
Is this
In
like
the web
just their
novel,
most
they seem to
recent, or is this
remember
like
it
from
as
the
a
beginning?
very nice place. In the webtoon, it does seem to have more like sinister tones, or at least darker vibes. And of course, the Give and Taken music video shows the orphanage as well, and it seems to suggest it wasn't perfect. And of course, we've also been told they wanted to run away from this orphanage in several like VCRs and stuff like that. This also is referenced in the lyrics of Tamed Dashed. Dashed, as in they ran away. Anyways, in terms of the powers of these boys, they're actually fairly consistent throughout the different mediums, which are, of course, the music videos, the web novel, the webtoon, and the cut-tunes, which are like the little things they post on Instagram and Twitter every week. There are a few differences here and there, especially when you go back to early music videos, where I think they maybe hadn't figured out everything and sort of changed some stuff, like in Give and Taken. But overall, these are the common kind of noted abilities that they have that seem consistent. Suha, as I mentioned, has super strength and the ability to turn into fog. She also has the ability to essentially compel the vampires and the werewolves. Like, I don't think she's aware that she does it, but they just want to listen to her. Main character energy, basically. Hisung, or Heli as his character is called, has the ability of telepathy. Specifically as a form of communication, they're often talking in their heads through his ability. This of course includes reading minds, and in some cases later on in the web novel, he's almost able to sort of control the thoughts of these people as well.
I didn't realize there was
It's
a
like
whole novel
mind
too.
control.
That's cool.
In the music videos, but not in the web novel or the webtoon that I can see, he's also seen levitating objects here and there, or being able to stop moving objects midair. I'm not sure if this is just for fun music video effect or what, but I just wanted to note it, especially because in the newest version of the Japanese version of Future Perfect, he is levitating multiple swords, and swords are also associated with him. He actually has a sword that is only usable and sharpens only in his hands. So if you ever see like person holding a sword in like their animations and stuff like that, that's most likely Hisung's character. Jae, or Yan, he has super strength, and it's potentially stronger than the strength of Suha's. And really, that's all you need to know. Jake, or Gino, he has the ability to control fire. This includes starting large ones if he wants, and putting out small ones. It seems implied that he wouldn't be able to put out like a super strong fire on it, like on his own, like the one that took down the orphanage maybe. But as I'll talk about a bit in a minute, as he uses his power more, he does seem to get stronger, as does everyone else. Sungun, or Solon's character, is never actually shown directly to have a vampire equivalent ability. He might have one that he's keeping a secret, but his ability is actually that he can turn into a wolf. And the agreed upon reason for this is that he's at least part werewolf, which is the same as the werewolves, which I will talk about briefly in a minute. How this happened
didn't even realize
is kind of
they're
a mystery
werewolves,
and
other
hasn't
than
been explained yet. Although we do have a theory here in the community that I will go over in a minute. Also,
someone did tell me and Team and them did do a video together.
Why he is partially werewolf, partially vampire, and he does seem to need to be a vampire as well. It's not just that he's like mistakenly a wolf. He needs to drink blood, but he has the senses of the wolf. He can smell things the way a wolf would smell things, etc., etc. So he's definitely both, hence the 2 different colored eyes. I do want to note really quickly that in the Given Taken music video, again, that's the oldest music video that we have of them, he is seen casting fire, like his hand lights on fire. However, that ability has since been given solely to Jake. We've never seen him use fire since then. So I'm guessing that's actually something that's been changed. Although who knows, maybe that's his secret vampire power. So it has come to my attention that I'm a filthy liar, and this is not the only time that Sungun has fire on his hand. He has this exact thing happen to him in the Japanese version of the Tamed Dashed music video as well. So maybe it really is his secret vampire power. I don't know, what do you think? Let me know. Sunu, or Shion. Sunu's abilities are interesting. He actually seems to have more abilities as the story progresses. So originally he has the ability to like stick to walls or on any surface, and he can subsequently also stick other people to walls. Later he develops this further by literally being a magnet through a wall, so if he stands on one side of a wall, then he can like suction other people towards the wall from his side. And this changes how the fights in the story progress as well, because then they're like, we have to destroy all the walls, so he can't do that, etc., etc. But there's also another thing. In the web novel, he talks to Helly, and they talk about this ability that he has where he can kind of manipulate other people's consciousness. I'm not 100% sure what that means, and only Hisung's character seems to know about it. It's a secret even from the rest of the brothers. And he's not very good at it either. But it's something to note because I think him getting another ability means that the other people can as well. And like I said before, it does seem like the more they use their abilities, the more they genuinely improve. However, he is keeping this whole ability a secret from basically everyone except Helly, which of course always can mean that there's more that he's not telling other people, and maybe including Helly. But who knows? I personally think Sunu sometimes acts a little suspicious, especially in music videos. And he also seems to be considered a large threat by the master vampires who are the antagonists of this story. So that's just something to keep in mind. Jungwon, or his character Jaka. Early on, he's described as being like super intelligent, although later it is shown that in actuality, it's not necessarily that he's really smart and quick to come to conclusions. He's actually just very fast. In general. It is so quick, in fact, that it seems like it's possible that he's manipulating the speed of time itself in his own perception, which is potentially what we're seeing happening in the Korean Future Perfect music video. In the web novel, he describes time sort of slowing around him and giving him time to think. And there are also several situations where he seems to go in and out of a situation really quickly, like unnaturally so. So kind of picture something close to Quicksilver, and then you've got the gist of Jungwon's main ability. And yeah, I say main ability because just like some of the others, he too has a second ability. He also seems to be able to sense sort of energy waves and can gauge how powerful someone is, including Suha and everyone else. Nikki, or Noah. Nikki's powers are the ones that I personally find the most interesting. He can manipulate shadows, and they have been shown in the same kind of way.
I love that there's a character in Naruto that does that.
This music video could have other explanations. It might not be him. After all, this does take place in kind of like the past or alternate timeline, which I will talk about in a minute. But I am a little suspicious of him because of this. Nikki is the second of all of the members who is considered a major threat by the Master Vampire antagonist people. So that's all of them, but additionally to that, it is said multiple times that vampires are unable to feel love at all, and it's hard to tell if this is just a common misconception or if it's actually true, since the boys' reactions don't really confirm it outright or deny it. And there are also werewolves, which are represented by the recently formed group and team. Or just wolves sometimes. I'm not sure. I consider them werewolves, but they kind of just go by wolves. However, they're likely going to have their own story with a lot of focus on them specifically, which will be, I think, a little different from Dark Moon the Blood Altar. And we know that it's going to be called Dark Moon the Grey City. So beyond just kind of mentioning the wolves here, I'm not going to go into too much detail about them because we don't have as much
they need to make like movies of this stuff.
The story doesn't really focus on them too much, besides them sometimes just
I mean, I know they're making a BTS lore
The
drama.
thing that you really need to know about them is that they have a really fun and interesting dynamic with the vampire boys. After all, vampires and werewolves are supposed to be enemies, and they're in like opposing Nightball teams from the two different schools, the Sunshine School and the Decelis School. It's hilarious also because all of them like Suha. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, like, there's some other information, and they end up teaming up with the boys and working together because of a certain situation that I'll talk about in a minute. But that's kind of all you really need to know at this point in the story about the wolves. Coming back to the vampires, though, there's actually different levels of vampires as well, which I've kind of mentioned a little bit so far. We have the drifter vampires, which are completely out of control. They can't control their bloodlust. They're kind of the weak cannon fodder type vampires, though, that, like, they're just like, whoa, we just took out 20 drifters. They're constantly getting beaten up. Just everywhere, by everyone. Suha, the wolves, vampires, everyone. I think they're probably closest to being the true monsters. And they also seem easy enough to intimidate and control, which they are. We also have the boys themselves, which are stronger vampires. It's hard to know where on the scale they are. Probably close to Master, although we're not 100% sure at this point, because it does seem like the Master can take on several of them. So, of course, other than the boys and drifters, we also have master vampires. They created and direct the much weaker drifter vampires. And then later in the story, there's also, like, just vampires. They're somewhere between drifter and matcher, seem a little bit, like, less powerful than the boys, and they're just categorized as vampires. Also, the other thing in this story that you should probably know about is that there are gods, like genuine gods, who give powers to people, including Princess Suha, who is given a gift of her abilities from the wolf god Vargir. I'm gonna say Vargir. Please don't get mad at me. Anyways, he gives this to her and only her, which allows her to absorb his blood and heal an illness that she has. This whole scenario, by the way, is later misinterpreted by Darden, someone who is close to the royal family and wants the kind of power that Suha was given. But back to the god for a second, because this has a little bit to do with someone's character, potentially.
Gotcha.
Aubrey, the person who helped me with this video script, has a really interesting theory, and I wanted to share it here with you guys today. And it brings into question, like, if perhaps Solon is related to the wolf god Vargir, as in before he was changed into a vampire, which is something that happens in the past timeline. Maybe he was somehow like a demigod or something like that, and it could explain this kind of half wolf, half vampire existence and how it's possible at all. What do you think? Is he some kind of demigod? I don't know. I think that'd be really exciting. Also, we all know that Solon is kind of my favorite character in the story, Sungwoo's character, so maybe I'm just biased. But let me know if you think that's a possibility. Anyways, this is going to bring us to the timelines, because I feel like it's kind of hard to talk about it without you guys knowing about the timelines. And there are at least two, but from there they kind of branch out, and there might be a couple, like, more, like, multiple timelines, or dimensions, if you want to look at it that way, since we did have the Dimension album from Enhypen. But basically, just look at it this way. If you see them in, like, royal-like garb, that is related to the past timeline. This is the timeline where Suha is the princess, and this is where she gets her abilities from. And these 7 vampires are her guards. They are knights. I guess that's kind of where the sword comes in with Hisung too. Now, there's a lot that we don't completely understand about the past timeline yet, including what was shown in the VCRs for the Manifesto tour, where it seemed to parallel several things that we've seen before and like may have hinted at stuff in the future. I'm sure that more will be revealed to us about this past timeline in the future really soon. But besides the past timelines, there's also the modern timeline. That's the one with the academy. They're all playing nightball against each other. It looks like rugby. And they're fighting the drifters, and this is where they go to the bar and stuff like that. In the most recent music videos. I accidentally forgot to mention that in the modern timeline, they grew up in an orphanage, and then that burned down and they escaped it. And I'll talk a little bit more about the orphanage, but basically that's all shown in the Give and Taken music video. Now, there may potentially be different variations of these timelines, of these two dimensions, just kind of depending on what medium it's being told in. For example, the webtoon, the web novel, and the cartoons all kind of differ slightly in their version and tellings of events. Like, Suha does not hate vampires in the web novel, but she does in the webtoon. And I'm mostly going with what the webtoon is showing, because I kind of consider that the definitive actual canon. They advertise it the most. The cartoon seems to just supplement the webtoon. The web novel almost feels like a rough draft before the webtoon, so yeah, the webtoon is what I end up looking at the most for all of this information. And then obviously we do have the music videos, but they have taken creative liberties with the music videos. And it's also just way easier to read the webtoon than it is to completely only interpret from the music video alone. But they still do loosely show what's going on. After all, like I said, we had the Give and Taken music video, which sort of shows the living situations of the boys in the orphanage, and how their memory is kind of spotty. And that's part of the reason why I don't think the orphanage was good for them. It also shows them running from the orphanage as it was burned down, like after the fire, and them discovering the ability to stand out in sunlight without being burned, and then them playing and having fun with Nightball and stuff like that. Music videos like Drunk Dazed also show their bloody birthday party, which is a parallel to the past timeline as well, where they must have received some sort of similar invitation to be chosen to watch over the princess as vampire knights. But all of this brings us to the current music videos in the current time. Future Perfect is a song that kind of talks about them taking power back into their hands.
One we haven't checked out yet.
The mic, and then deciding that they want to stop running and stand on their own to create their own perfect future perfect, not one that others have laid out for them. The music videos represent a similar turning point in the story, both the Japanese and Korean versions, which are in chronological order. So first comes the Korean version, and the Japanese version continues the story from there, in a similar spot anyway. So in the Korean version of Future Perfect, we see the boys interrogating another vampire, a weaker one, called a drifter. This drifter gives them some information in the form of a matchbox about a bar called Railgun, which we also see them visiting in the Japanese version of the Future Perfect music video. All of this, by the way, happens in like a different country, which is called Printanier, and that's actually likely why we see them headed for the plains in the Future Perfect music video, the Korean version. They need to travel there. Also, just for reference, their school is also in a different country, essentially, from where they are. There's also another country called Estival. Basically, they're just going like all over the place. Anyways, they were tracking these vampires because, as we see in the webtoon as well, they were attacking Suha, the female protagonist, seemingly unprompted. However, they also uncover another plot, which they dismantle with the help of the werewolves, the ones that are like the and team boys, since it also involves them. It seems that these master vampires are under the impression that drinking wolf blood will give them more powers, will make them stronger. Like, it's werewolf blood specifically. Gosh, I wonder where that came from. So anyways, there's like this legitimate whole werewolf trafficking plot that takes place that they kind of dismantle.
I don't think she's explained Darden yet.
And kill like all the vampires there, basically. It's actually a relatively large plot point that we don't really see in the music videos at all, but it does actually happen in this time frame. And obviously it's kind of a major thing. It's really too bad that we don't see more of the battle in the music videos. In my opinion, I think it would be really cool to see like some more battles and stuff, but I don't know, maybe they just can't show it. I'm not entirely on top of like what the censorship allows and stuff like that, so anyways, yeah, this impression of werewolf blood giving them powers obviously comes from Darden and from that one scene in the, like, past timeline where he doesn't understand what happened to Suha and assumes she drank the blood of the wolf god. He did not understand it was a genuine ritual and it was bestowed upon her from the god itself, and he just assumes, oh, she drank the blood. Anyways, I'm not entirely sure how, but this idea is now perpetuated into this timeline, still to this day, potentially. Again, I'm not sure if it's separate dimensions or what, but yeah, it's still going on, and innocent werewolves are suffering. Because yeah, that's not how Suha got her powers in the first place. Idiots. Interestingly, in the Korean version of Future Perfect, we do see the drifters and the boys looking at an empty desk. This most likely signifies Suha, like Suha is missing, so this was her desk. Now, we do know the other vampires are aware of her, and they do actually want her power, so potentially they kidnap her or something in the future. The thing that I do feel is a little confusing is the fact that both our boys, the vampire boys, and also the drifter vampires are both there. You'd think if they were the ones that kidnapped Suha, they would, like, yeet out of there. So it's potentially something else that causes her to go missing, I don't know, just something to think about. This situation hasn't happened yet in anything that's publicly been released. So yeah, all we've got are guesses. In terms of the Japanese version, however, it does take us a little bit further, as I said. So at the beginning with the like statue things, they seem to be surrounding yet another person that they are interrogating. This person is likely the person who in the story sends word ahead to the master, letting them know that something has gone wrong with the whole werewolf operation. Because if you remember, all the boys kind of attacked everyone and took out basically every person who was involved in the werewolf trafficking incident. So they have no way of like telling the masters, hey, something's gone terribly wrong and this operation is a no-go. So this one person does manage to send word to the master saying, we need to meet immediately. This master, by the way, is a woman named Trenna, so if I mention Trenna from now on, that is her. That is the master of the whole, like, the railgun and the werewolf operation. And then Darden is a step above her. Anyways, this message was actually passed using a very specific method, which was using a bird cage, which we see a lot of in the music video. So somehow messages are able to be passed through these bird cages, and they're supposed to be written in some form of code. Now, it doesn't actually specify what the code is, just that, oh, they used a code to transmit this message, and this was the translated message, so I guess the code itself isn't actually important, but I did want to mention it just in case. They do have some level of security. But anyway, we do know that Sungwon's character and Jungwon's character, along with some of the wolves, were sent ahead to, like, scout the area and investigate Prince Hanye. Anyway, so they scout the area, and then the others follow, and they enter the bar, Railgun, which is the home base for Trenna. So in the Japanese Future Perfect music video, we see Nikki discover her office, which he does do in the story as well, although the timeline is a little bit weird. I think what's going on here is it's just sort of showing they discover the, like, notes and the stuff that have been sent ahead to warn her, like, in her office. I think that's what's going on here. It's kind of taken creative liberties with things that we know because they have to show the information somehow, right? Anyways, at this point in the music video, Trenna emerges from here. It's potentially she turned in from fog. She has, like, the ability to turn to fog as well as Suha. So it's potentially that she comes out of the fog, or she just looks cool there, so they're like, yeah, go out into the fog. Anyways, that's definitely supposed to be Trenna. And in the music video, it actually seems like they, like, take her out. And in the story, they do, in fact, badly injure her at this point, but she flees. She does not get, like, killed permanently, which is what it looks like in this music video. But yeah, in the story, she runs away after this battle, goes to Darden, and informs them about them. And also, Darden heals her. And this is where she actually specifically worries about Nikki and Sunwoo's powers. As I mentioned earlier, she's worried because she thinks that they're a major threat to them. Specifically those two, she mentions. Which I just personally find very hilarious because Nikki and Sunwoo were always the ones that I was like, whoa, they're so suspicious. But they seem to be the ones that she's also like, yo, like, be careful of them. Though potentially she's also just underestimating the rest of them as well. Because after all, it looks like Heesung is the one that attacks her in the music video. Although perhaps this music video is actually showing the moment when they actually defeat her. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there's like a future battle where they take her out or something. That hasn't happened in the story yet. That's just... I don't know. I'm not sure. The music video is a little loose with the timeline, and it skips over, like, all those details with the wolves, like I said. So I'm just kind of wondering if they maybe, like, combined several battles, and they're like, yeah, they fight her a bunch of times, and then the important part is we take her out. Like, did they consolidate that into one scene? I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. But, yeah. Anyways, that's what happened so far. That's what happened in the music videos. It's pretty straightforward. And the music videos are very, very caught up to the current web novel and webtoons. So I do have one thing for you. Where does Chris come in all of that? Remember where I mentioned, oh, it's really important that Suha saw Chris die as a child. This had happened in the webtoon. So where does Chris come in all this? Because he's not in the music videos, and he doesn't have a similar counterpart in the web novel. Or does he? Well, we have a theory specifically about Chris that I think is worth sharing. Chris is Suha's childhood friend, like I said, and our theory is that Chris is actually Darden.
Gotcha.
The person that wants the power that Suha has. And he
that's right.
To be doing anything, including manipulating her, to get what he wants. He is supposedly someone who's quite powerful and trustworthy to the royal family in the past timeline. So him being trustworthy to Suha originally in the current timeline just also makes a lot of sense. There's a parallel there. And, you know, even though in my head I was picturing Darden as this, like, slimy guy, having him be a relatively attractive man makes sense. Like, who wouldn't trust an attractive man, you know? The halo effect.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I don't know. What do you think? Is Chris actually the future modern version of Darden? Well, that's everything. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much.
That was
for
cool.
watching.
It definitely summed it up. I think I want to read the novel and the webtoon. I wonder how many chapters and stuff there are. I don't know. I'll have to look it out.
Tells you every single time I post a video. I'm going to be focusing on YouTube a lot more, so hopefully I'm going to be having a lot more videos for you guys. And if you have any specific requests for videos that you want,
we're going to watch a couple trailers for the webtoon and
any of the Hype stories, let me know. And
something else that I grabbed that looks story specific.
Also in the description below, and you can reach me there or follow me for extra thoughts and stuff that I post, or just to keep up with my videos, because I usually share them there. I also want to give a shout out to my patrons over on Patreon. Thank you so much for all of your support. If you also want to become a patron, join our private Discord server, have fun and theorize with us, the link is in the description down below, and also probably on the screen here somewhere. And yeah, that's it. That's everything. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay sunny, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye!
That was a good one. Okay. Yeah. Webtoon. Cinder's character looks just like him. It's cute. Nice. Okay. And what else did I grab? I think that one was maybe a teaser and this is the trailer. Something like that. That's cool. That looks really, really good. Okay, so I guess that was like a full movie then? I did try and look it up, but I don't know. You guys all have to let me know what else to check out for them. But that was really good. I think that did a pretty decent job of kind of summing up the storyline, and I want to go back now and rewatch Give and Taken, of course. And then, yeah, there's so many MVs we haven't watched yet. So much music to check out from them, which is awesome. But yeah, I really like that one and super interesting. I love a good vampire story. Love it, love it, love it. Different mythologies, whatever. So good. Oh man. Okay. Well, all right, guys. Definitely leave me some suggestions for Enhypen lore. What group do you want me to check out? If you have any specific videos, let me know. And yeah, just all in all, just a huge thank you for coming over here and supporting us on Patreon. It truly means the world to us that you do that. We couldn't do any of this without you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.